What's going on YouTube? Pep here. I'm back. Just know it's been a little while. I'm trying to get some videos out. I got a lot to catch up on, and I have really been stuck doing research on this Mandela effect. Now I'm going to try to do a video for those who know little to nothing about it and say a few things, and some people it's going to be a bunch of junk to you. It's not going to make any impact on your life whatsoever, and I ignored it for a long time. I kept seeing it pop up in like my recommended video list on YouTube, and I was researching something totally different. I don't even remember what I was looking into, but hadn't looked into this, just saw videos and decided to check it out. And then my first impression was, okay, this is just people with bad memories. That's all that was. They just have bad memories. But it said enough. I wanted to keep looking into it, and whenever there's a lot of people dealing with an issue, it will catch my attention because, you know, I think even if it's a whole lot of lies going on, there's usually some kernel of truth to it. So I'm looking into it. And for me, what I've come to the conclusion to believe is that until this one of your memories is changed, or the way that something really took place is not as you remember it, it will have to be something you are very well acquainted with, remember very well, or either it only made sense to you and so many thousands of others that way. So the Mandela effect is dealing with the possibility, or probably by now the fact, that some of us have lived in a different timeline of reality. And you're like, whoa, what is the preacher doing talking about this? Just hear me out for a little while. Just think about it. Okay, so it's possible. Some time ago, scientists would talk about multiverses and parallel dimensions, and that was just theory. I'll try to leave a link below that this is no longer a theory, that this is all a reality now about the parallel universes, and dealing with things called D-Wave computers. And then there's also a relation to CERN, which is this Large Hadron Collider, which is the largest machine in the world, and it's over in Sweden, I believe it is. I'll try to leave some links below. I don't have a very technical setup here. Maybe one day when I'm on Patreon or monetize my channel, I'll be able to afford some of the fancy stuff. But for right now, I'm just bringing this to y'all, just something to look into. So the Mandela effect has to do with people remembering things and being very sure about it, and they're not the only ones. Thousands, tens of thousands of people remember it the same way and have no reason to either lie or say anything otherwise. There are people saying the Statute of Liberty was actually on Ellis Island. Well, now it's actually, or it has always been per this timeline, on Liberty Island. You know, some people say, okay, maybe I just got too mixed up. The islands aren't very far apart. They're near each other. One held records for the immigrants. On the other side of the island was the actual statue. But then there are other people that are very serious. Even more mysterious things surrounding that is that people remember or even have pictures of being up in the torch portion, not the crown, the torch portion of the statue. Well, apparently there was a terrorist attack by the Germans, and either 1914 or between 1914 and 1918, somewhere in there, and nobody's been up in the torch for 100 years. Now, one thing I know you can find, and some of us remember this, when David Copperfield supposedly made the Statue of Liberty disappear, to promote it, he actually has a video where he is standing in the torch. Now, unless he has some special type of permission or something like that, or was made aware of the dangers, and then again, even with the special permission, why would they allow him to go up there? This is a national monument, I believe. So, but that video exists. Some of us remember that being on television. So there's that's what they call residual, when we're able to find some evidence of a different timeline, even in this time of reality, but we're able to find some evidence that it did exist the way that many people remembered it. So you have that going on with the statue, and there's thousands of others. People saying that Kit Kat used to have a dash in it. Okay, not a big deal for me. Fruit Loops used to actually be spelled the way we spell fruit and not F-R-O-O-T. Morton salt being spelled with an S, and it shouldn't be that way. Jif peanut butter being Jiffy. There never was a Jiffy peanut butter, but there was a Skippy, and there was a Jiffy cornbread mix, and people mixing up different things like that. But for me, what really struck me, because I've always, being a preacher, one of the most well-known books around the world is the King James Version of the Bible. And even other scriptures didn't really hit me until they start talking about the wineskins. Now, the reason this is important, because of the last 5-6 years, I've been doing a lot of teaching on tradition and dealing with people who don't want to accept new teaching that is also true. They're like the old wineskins, and they burst trying to digest this new information. And others and conversations I've been in with preachers, I even preached it not too long ago, and I'm telling you, there's nothing that you could have said to make me believe it did not say wine skins. Okay, well, I went and looked it up, and it no longer said skins. And per history of this timeline, it never said wine skins. It says bottles, which really doesn't make any sense in that day and time. They wouldn't have used bottles. Now hear me right. I'm not talking about newer translation. I'm not talking about the NIV. I'm talking about the KJV and what it said. It now says bottles, and apparently always has said bottles. That threw me. Another one is not as important as the Bible, but it has to do with a movie. But the whole joke of the movie was a line. Some of you recall the movie, Scary Movie with Marlon Wayans. I think he's smoking weed or something, and he is repeating that scene from the little boy had in the movie Sixth Sense, where the little boy says, "I see dead people." Okay, well, this is a parody movie, scary movie, and we expect to hear similarities in the lines. But what made the whole line a joke is that he's talking to this white guy who he is also smoking with, and he asks him, "Can I tell you a secret?" And he goes, and the white guy says, "Yeah." And he says, "I see." And I remember it as being, "I see white people." And that's what made it funny. That's why it's so memorable. That's what made it funny. And it's a parody. You don't expect to hear the exact same line that was said in the actual movie Sixth Sense. Well, if you go look at it now, the official timeline, the official history is that he has always said, "I see dead people," not white people. And it's not like this is a spelling difference, not like they even sound the same. I'm not even talking about the whole Forrest Gump thing where he says, we all remember him saying life is like a box of chocolate, not life was like. There's a huge difference in saying dead people or dead and white. Two totally different words here that we're talking about. Those two have hit me the hardest and really got me looking at this thing. So there's hundreds of thousands of people. We don't have, these people don't have any reason to lie. We don't have any reason. It's actually freaking some people out that people are getting very upset. So we don't have any reason to be lying about this. So when you're dealing with this whole Mandela effect, first you have to settle in on whether or not it's actually happening. And if you find something that you're intimately acquainted with and find that it's changed, it's gonna have an effect on you. You'll know. But then you'll move on from there as to why. A few different theories. This isn't meant to be an exhaustive video, but there are those that are dealing with perhaps the whole CERN project. And when they fired up that Hadron Collider, somehow they messed with our timeline of reality. And now we've shifted, I don't know, maybe from where the scientists used to tell us we were in the Sagittarius arm of the galaxy. Not that they could ever measure or know that, because it's just astronomical. But now we're in what's called the Orion spur? I don't know. Maybe when they crunk up that thing, did it move the whole Earth? Did the whole Earth pass from one side of the universe to another? I don't know. But there's some speculation what CERN is doing, what that Hadron Collider has caused, and their work of D-Wave computers. Now, D-Wave computers being a separate issue, there's a video. And one of the scientists slash doctors, owners of this company who sells these computers, says that they've been using these computers now for a good little while, probably at least 10 years, which tells you something about how quick, technology moves. If you have a computer today that's 10 years old, you're in need of a new computer a long time ago. But the kind of technology these D-Wave computers open up for you means that you can move so very fast in technology. He's going to say things, and I'll leave a link below. He's going to say things like, what if we don't possess a resource here in this time, space, in this dimension? Let's just use something fictitious. Let's just say vibranium, okay? Like from the Black Panther movie. Let's just say vibranium is what we need to make the next level of military weapons. Okay, but we don't have any real vibranium, right? But then they say, well, vibranium only exists in the 8th dimension. What they're proposing is that they open up the 8th dimension, go into the 8th dimension, grab the vibranium, and bring it back to this dimension. And he presents this, what makes it all scary or spooky, is that this is no longer a theory. He says he'd be lying if he told you this was theory. This is now fact, people. Fact. This is happening. Okay, so maybe they're lying. Maybe they can't do it. Let's just do the research. It's worth looking into. I believe it's worth looking into because things are getting real strange. So dealing with the Mandela effect, this may open up a whole can of worms. And it brings you to that, or maybe it's not CERN, maybe it's a collective consciousness and somehow dealing with the double slit experiment. Maybe I'll leave a video to that. The double slit experiment, dealing with how our consciousness can somehow have an effect on the physical reality. Some people believe maybe it's that our collective consciousness has actually caused the reality of things to physically change. And so with that being the case, we haven't shifted dimensions, but matter itself and the official history has changed due to what we all believe to be the case or to be true. That's another theory that's out there as to why. I'm not so sure the Mandela effect is a theory. I think it's happening. But why or how, that's a whole nother thing to figure out. And then you have videos such as Neil deGrasse Tyson talking with another panel of scientists and theoretical physicists. And one of the things that is said is that computer code is why the galaxies and how we're here. There's code at the bottom of this. And one of the scientists says he's really trying to wrap his mind around whether or not he's living in a real life. The Matrix movie. The Matrix movie is real. Well, here's the thing. For some people, when they hear that, whatever, you want to hear it. Now, here's the thing. You can take that one way, and you can throw out God, and you can take it the other way, because even in the Matrix had an architect, had a creator. What does amaze me is that these physicists are seeing such code and such order and structure. Would it not also give evidence to a creator? I'm not talking about the God of the Bible. I'm not talking about the God of the Quran. I'm not talking about anybody's specific God, but just the fact, what I believe to be a fact, that there is a consciousness to the creation of all things, and that's what is the great architect of the universe, or God, if we could call it that, because there's clearly order and design to the whole universe. Fibonacci ratio, or the golden ratio, is everywhere. The only way you get something like that is to have a consciousness behind it. Matter thrown together and just, you put a bunch of rocks in a box, and that's all you got, a bunch of rocks. But then somebody comes along and starts hitting them together, smoothing them out, and things happen that don't naturally happen or occur in nature. You say, somebody had to do this. That's evidence of consciousness, something aware of itself and what it is doing. And that is what the universe, or how the universe got here. It may be mysterious, but we know there's order to it. We know there's a design to it. We can see code in it. Why can't that be God? Why can't that be the creator? Now, I'm not saying, again, I'm not dealing with a doctrine. I'm not dealing with whether it's a Christian God or ideals of God, but just the fact that there's a consciousness that started this whole emotion. So, there's a lot of other changes report. I don't give a whole lot to it, because people talk about the Mandela effect as it relates to like maps and things, and this continent was, South America used to be more under America, or this continent used to be smaller. Thing is, there's mistakes in all maps. None of the maps are really that accurate. Greenland is by no means big as or bigger than Africa. So if you're looking at a map that shows that, it's automatically wrong. Doesn't make any sense. So I don't give a whole lot of credence to the geographic type issues, unless it's a major one, unless it's like, there was one talked about in the movie Dazed and Confused. Unless it was something on that globe, it was showing a whole nother huge island, what would probably be considered a whole nother continent to the west of Australia. Now, it's kind of hard to make a mistake like that if something like that was actually depicted there. So this Mandela effect is really taking the internet by storm, and it's doing a lot. And if you're a Christian and you're one that is easy to say, hey, none of this stuff makes, some Christians look at it like this, say it's the great deception, things are changing. It maybe that's what the case is, but still, that makes this real. That means something is happening. But then there are those that just say, simple memory. It's going to be memory until it happens to you. When it's something you were sure of, when you wake up the next morning and you were just so sure that the car you pulled up in last night from work was black, and you go out there the next day and it's red, and you actually remember a black car, you're gonna trip out. You're gonna be like, wait a minute, what's going on here? So I think there's some truth to it. You got all these, like, Darth Vader. Most of us remember him saying, Luke, I am your father. He never said that. He said no, or like N-O, because he was asking Luke a question. He said, did Obi-Wan tell you what happened to your father? And Luke says, you killed him. Darth Vader says, no, I am your father. And most of us remember people, the way I remember it was, Luke, I am your father. That's the way I remember it. But again, I'm not, I could have bad memory on that. But two things I don't have bad memory on is the fact that thing said wine skins. And in the movie, Scary Movie, he said, I see white people. I know that. And it's wrong. And so until it hits you in the gut, it won't be real. But if it is real, when it does hit you in the gut, what is this going to tell you? What does this all mean? Is it a great deception? How long have we been here? Have we been recycled? Have we been here before? How long have the earth been? There's going to be unnumbered, astronomical amount of questions you probably need answered. So with that, I'm Pep, Public Enemy Preacher here. I'm going to try to do some more videos. I got to get caught up. Love y'all. Please like and subscribe. How about this? Y'all can even shoot me some ideas in the comment section below. Let me know what you want me to address. It could be a religious issue. It could be a political issue. Whatever. I'll try to deal with it best I can. I find that most preachers, especially those in the church, are not going to even address any of this stuff or talk about it. I'm a curious guy. That's what I do. And I'm one that's for truth. I don't care if the truth tears down everything I thought I knew. I just want the truth. This is Pep. I'm signing off for now. Love y'all. Peace.